Welcome back. This is Right Wing Rico, Club Rico. We are on the Safe and Effective Podcast YouTube channel. This is my other channel that I go over politics and situations that have to do with what happened back in 2021 that we shall never forget, but shall not be named right now. Today, we're actually going to discuss what's going on with this Epstein files that were supposed to be leaked to the public today, but it appears the public is actually not the priority, strangely enough. Now, I do follow and I'm fans of DC Drano, Libs of TikTok, Cernovich. They were pivotal in the fight on social media to help push Trump into the presidency. They were extremely important. Very good people. Libs of TikTok has done so much in exposing what these pedophiles and these sickos are actually doing inside of our schools and our institutions and how they're specifically targeting kids behind their parents' back. How these, because, if you're a conservative, if you're just a regular person, you don't follow these people. You don't know what's really going on in their lives. You have to work to support your family. You don't necessarily know what your family is being exposed to. Libs of TikTok has shown us the light. She has literally turned on the light switch in a house full of roaches, and now we know what's going on. So we're able to combat it, and we're able to maneuver. However, when it comes to this whole Jeffrey Epstein client list, they slowboated us. The reason, in my opinion, that this is happening right here is because there's nothing that can be done. Let me show you. This is DC Drano, and that's Libs of TikTok. I believe that's her. I've seen her on Timcast. The Epstein files, phase 1. So they're not just doing a blanket dump to a public website where we can all just go through everything for ourselves. Full transparency. Apparently, they are releasing this information in phases. Why? This appears to be another clown show. This appears to be another bullshit attempt to just kind of slow down the wheels of justice. But this is the kicker. One of the biggest clients of Epstein, who used to fly on his plane, was a man by the name of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was the president in the 90s, 2 terms. In the 90s. What that tells me is that most of the people that were on these planes, that were on these flights, are very old now. This information is very old. The problem is, I'm sure when this was on Pam Bondi's desk for the last 2 weeks, they have been going through to see what information in these files is actionable, who can be brought to justice, what can be done. And I'm pretty sure that we are going to discover over the next 3 weeks, nothing is actionable, and that the statute of limitations has expired on any of these crimes that could have potentially have taken place 30 plus years ago, in the 90s, or before the 90s. Yes, there were women and bringing their children, reporting this to the police and the FBI in 92, in the late 80s, in some of these records. But there's nothing that can legally be done. So what they're doing is this. They're going to give all this information to these conservative right-wing influencers. We are expected to put this information out there and drum up public resentment against these people. They are mobilizing us to use social media to publicly shame these people that are in these files and their families. We are going to shame their children. They're expecting us to basically blackball their last name. Could you imagine if you were 20 years old and your last name was Fauci and you were related to the Joseph Mengele of our time, Dr. Anthony Fauci, or Anthony Fauci, if you were related to him, your last name is burnt in this country. Someone one day might just walk up to you while you're ordering a pizza and punch your lights out. It can happen. It will happen. That's why they're giving these to social media influencers. They want us to influence the public because the legal system cannot do anything about it. Going to arrest someone who potentially did something horrible 30 years ago when there's no physical evidence. There's no semen samples, there's no condoms, there's no video, and the witness's testimony is ancient at this point. So to go after some of these high-profile politicians would be pointless. Some of these people are no longer in politics. They're in business. They're in Hollywood. They're in the private sector. I don't know if you guys have been keeping score, but many of them have been flying out the past 7 days. It seems like Pam Bondi has been giving them time to run. And I guess if somebody runs, then you know they were guilty of something. And I guess this could have been just a trap. Again, they want us to shame these people into oblivion. They don't want anyone to forget what was done. They made such a big deal about these Epstein files. But like I said, the reason they're giving these files to these influencers and not just releasing a blanket dump like WikiLeaks used to do onto a server that we all can comb through, like we did the Hunter Biden laptop from hell. Giuliani, he just uploaded the database on the computer to a website. So we can just all go through it and read all the emails, look at all the disgusting videos and the content. They could have done this with the Epstein files, but most of this stuff is from the 90s, so it wasn't digital. Also, it could incriminate certain people that might have not had any criminal wrongdoing. Do not get me wrong. I am not, just because RFK Jr., I think he's amazing for what he's doing with MAHA. Don't think that I'm just trying to cover up for him. People are going to come back and say, Rico, you're only saying that because RFK Jr. was on his planes too. Again, just because you flew on the Lolita Express does not mean that you were necessarily on there specifically to brutalize and have sex with children. Some of these people were taken on these flights to proposition them and get them to accept payment of children for influence, to put them in a honeypot. As far as the records that we've been given by RFK Jr., he flew every single time on the Lolita Express with his wife and children. He wasn't just a guy by himself with no witnesses around and a bunch of kids like Bill Clinton. He was on the flight with his family. I'm not covering up for him just because I'm MAGA, he's MAGA. That's not what this is. I'm only going based off of the information that we have and what's being presented. Again, some of this information, though it looks incriminating, if there's no evidence, we cannot put a jacket on somebody, calling them pedophiles, calling them this and that, if we don't have exact proof, especially if they're not convicted of anything. So what we can do is this: we're going to release the information and we're going to interpret it. And some of it's going to be wrong, but we're going to get a lot of stuff right. The point is, we are here to influence public opinion. The left has been doing this to us for years. And I guess now that the pendulum has swung the other way, we're expected to respond in like kind when situations come up like this. I'm really hoping RFK Jr. is not on there, and I hope there's nothing about Trump in these files. If there is, put it out. Let us deal with it. Just because you are a supporter of Trump doesn't mean you're 100% behind every single thing he's ever done in his entire life. He's only been president since 2016. I'm sure there are things in his past that could come up. I just hope it's not related to Epstein. I hope he did the right thing throughout his history with this man. But I don't want any cover-ups. I want full transparency. I don't want to hear lies. I don't want anybody inflating. I don't want people putting extras and over on stuff. I want these people to use discernment and disseminate this information the best of their abilities and give us accurate information. Again, I don't think the Justice Department or the law enforcement or FBI can do much about any of these cases. So they're giving it to the influencer because they want the public to shame these people so much that they will never feel comfortable showing their face in American public for the rest of their lives. They will all be somewhere in San Francisco or some blue area where nobody cares about the fact that you're a sicko, where everybody's a pedophile. Maybe they can go live around those types of people. In that situation, they would probably have to relocate to Tel Aviv. Just saying. That is where they go. Once you get caught over here, and before you go to trial, you emergency evacuate to Israel, where there's no extradition treaty. Some of them are going to Singapore. Others are going to Bali. Countries with no extradition treaty, they know the rules. Pam Bondi said, look, instead of us coming after you, you leave the country and just don't come back. If you come back, we're going to arrest you. And I guess there was this kind of, and these people fleeing the country over the past week while these files had been on their desk was just in a way of them quiet quitting. They know they were wrong and they don't want to go through the rigmarole of being embarrassed in the public eye. So they took it upon themselves to evacuate. I respect it. I respect that. If we don't have to drag you through the court of public opinion and embarrass you in front of everyone. You know who else dodged that happening and not going through what P. Diddy did is the other guy, Russell Simmons. He took off when the heat got on him. It was starting to warm up. Articles every day in the news about him, people saying something about him and his kids, and he just magically found a way to slide himself to Bali, and he's never came back. He can't come back. And these politicians, now remember, the Epstein files are going to be two-sided. There were two groups that were being brought to the island to and being enticed to work for Epstein. There were politicians and there were scientists. We focused too much on the politicians. We never asked enough questions about the scientists and the experiments they were performing on children on the island. The children that they performed experiments on came from West Africa, the West Indies, and the Caribbean. Many came from Haiti. Through different foundations, is what I'm talking about. They were not there for sex. They were there for experimentation. The kids that were for sex came from Europe and the United States and were from a different ethnic background. We focus entirely too much on the politicians. I do want to know who these scientists were, what companies they worked for, what research they successfully developed, and what Epstein gained from paying all of these scientists. I want to get to the bottom of what he was doing. I'm pretty sure RFK Jr. will disclose that information personally to us, but let's give that about 6 months. This is the Safe and Effective Podcast. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, become a subscriber or click the link in the bio, share the video. We'll be back on. There's a couple of other topics we're going to go over today. We just went over to Andrew Tate and how Trump was able to finally get them out of Romania. They are American citizens with joint citizenship with the U.S. and the U.K., and they're home. They were falsely accused and illegally prosecuted by the World Economic Forum, who deemed them as a threat. Now, and it just made them stronger. Now Andrew Tate wants to run for to be the prime minister of the UK, which he will win. Starmer doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. That's why all the media is so afraid. But now he's back in the United States. He's an American. He's protected. He can run from here. He can leave everything behind in Romania. He would be foolish to go back. The country is a corrupt country. He understood that, worked in his favor until somebody with more money and power than him came in, and now the corruption worked against him. So don't go back there, Andrew and Tristan. Figure out something in the U.S., make your move to become politicians in the U.K., and let's move forward. But now that you're here, make America great and America first. I'll be back shortly. Thank you. Like and subscribe, share the video, and we'll be back with another topic shortly.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.